Hey, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 5.1, writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. That's what we're doing, writing equations based on slopes and y-intercepts taken from information given, M and B, and from pictures or graphs of equations, beginning on page 273 in the textbook. First thing is a definition of a slope-intercept form. We know that y is equal to mx plus b. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now. We started using it officially last week. Y equals mx plus b. Again, you have to remember that m is the slope, as your slope, and b is your y-intercept. That's what you have to remember about slope-intercept form. Those are the two things we're going to plug in. We're going to leave everything else the same, and we're going to plug in m, and we're going to plug in b. First example says write an equation of a line. It says write an equation of a line whose slope is m and y-intercept b is -3. Notice on the left it says recall that y-intercept is the y-coordinate of the point where the line crosses the y-axis. What that means is when it's graphed, an equation, it's talking about this value right here that has an x and a y value. You're not interested in the fact that the x's value is 0. You're interested if that was like, say, y's value is 3. That's the number you're talking about, the 3 itself. That's what it's talking about. So it says you're given a slope, m is 4. That's what it says here. And b is -3. That's what it says right there. So y equals mx plus b. Then in place of m, you're going to plug in 4. In place of b, you're plugging in -3. Remember, just like on the bell work that we did earlier, anytime you have plus a negative value like that, that's the same thing as minus. So notice it just looks a whole lot neater and cleaner on the last one to write it as y equals 4x minus 3. Very simple. Leave y, leave equals, and then leave an x, and then plug in something in front of x, and then something after x. Plug in m, and then plug in b. Okay, take about 30 seconds and do this one. Okay, let's take a look at it. This is how you start off. You write slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We're going to leave y, we're going to leave equals, we're going to leave x, and we're going to plug in the m and the b. M, your slope in this case, is 3/4. So in place of m, we're plugging in 3/4. So y equals 3/4 x. And then in place of b, we're plugging in -4. So plus a -4. Remember, plus a negative is the same thing as minus. There's the best equation you could have right there. Y equals 3/4 x minus 4. Here's the two checkpoint problems. It says write these two equations. When first one, when your slope is 3, your y-intercept is 7. Again, y equals mx plus b. That's all you're doing right there. You're plugging in what multiplies by x. That's your slope. Remember, you have to remember that slope is m. So right here, you're plugging in 3. And then b is your y-intercept. Your b value is 7. So it's positive 7, so you plug it in as positive 7. Y equals 3x plus 7. Do the same thing with the next one. It says, well, your slope is -5, your y-intercept is -1. Y equals mx plus b. Your m value is your slope again, -5x. So -5x plus b. -1 is your b value. So instead of writing plus a -1 like this, remember you could simply write it as -5x minus 1. Plus a negative is the same thing as minus. Example number 2 is write an equation from a picture, from a graph. So it says the line intersects the y-axis. If you look at just at the picture, you can see it intersects the y-axis at 0, -2, that value right there. You're interested in the y value of it, -2. That becomes your b value. So that's where you get b from. Then look at the picture to determine what the slope is. Get an m value. Go from two intersecting points. That's two good ones right there. You're going to go down 1, 2. Down 2 we know is -2. And you're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, 4. That's going to simplify. The number 2 goes into both of those. It goes into -2 one time, and it goes into 4 two times. This is your m value. Now you do it just like example number 1. You have a b value and you have an m value. It says so the y-intercept b is -4, is -2. It says the line also passes through the point -4, 0. So that's just talking about this point to help you find the slope. So when you use the slope formula, remember this is the rise over the run, your change of y, -2 minus 0, that's your y value, over your change of x, 0 minus a -4. 0 plus 4 would be 4. So we can use the picture. Instead of using the slope formula, we had a good picture. You can just count to find the slope. So once you have your slope value, which is the same as what we found a second ago, -1/2, and we have our b value, which is -2, which is the same as what we have, we're going to plug in y equals mx plus b. In place of m, we're going to plug in -1/2, and then plus a -2 again is the same thing as -2. Y equals -1/2 x minus 2. Okay, take about 1 minute to do this one. Find your m, find your b, and write your equation. All right, let's take a look at this one. Again, you need to find two things. You're going to write it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. We're going to look for two things. We're going to look for our m, and we're going to look for our b value. Okay. Usually the easiest thing for everybody to find is the b value because you can quickly pick out where it crosses through the y-axis right there. Okay. Remember, that point's value is 0, -1. You're not interested in the 0 part. You're just interested in this y value, -1. So that means this one here, your b value for this one is going to be -1. Then you just need to find the slope. So find the slope based on the picture. Remember, slope is your rise either up and down over your run left and right. So use the points that are highlighted for you. Start here, go down 1. So down 1 means -1. And go to the right 1, 2. To the right means you're going +2. So there's your slope value right there, -1/2. And then leave the rest alone. Leave it saying y, leave it say equals, and leave it say x. And there's your equation. Y equals -1/2 x minus 1. It really isn't any harder than that. And then we had two checkpoint problems. It says write these two equations. Okay, first off, let's identify what our b value is. Our b is this right here, -2. That's your B value. Remember, it's 0, -2, but you're not interested in the x coordinate part of it. So B is -2 for that one. Your M value, not you don't have two highlighted points. So you have to pick a good point. Remember, don't choose this point right here because it's in the middle of your X values. That's not a good one. This one right here is a good one to pick though, even though it's pretty close too. That's another good one to pick because it's on an intersection of both an X and a Y. So to go see how many times you rise, you're going to go up 1, 2. We know up 2 means +2. And we're going to go to the right one time. That's +1. So your slope value is 2/1. Remember, you don't have to ever write anything over 1. So y equals mx plus b, and we'll plug those values in. M's value is 2, because you don't have to write 2/1, and b's value is -2. So there's your equation right there. Y equals 2x minus 2. The other one, do the same thing. Find your b value. It's right here. Again, that's -1. B's value is not -2 like the last one. This time it's -1. Then find your slope. Pick yourself another intersecting point. These are bad points to pick. Again, because they're in the middle. You would have to estimate with those. You're trying to not estimate if you can help it. Get you an exact point. So let's say we use that point there. You could have used another one. There's one that's just as good on the other side you could have used. So use those 2 points. Count. Remember, it's rise over run. How many times am I going to go down or up? Right here, we're going down 1. That's -1. We're going to the right 1, 2, 3 times. That's +3. There's your slope value, -1/3. Plug in those two values to make y equals mx plus b. So your m value plugs in right there in place of m, -1/3. And your b value plugs in right here, -1. Again, don't write it as plus or -1. Just write it as -1. So y equals -1/3 x minus 1.